Hey, church family. Hey, this is like the third time we've tried to shoot this, but we have an exciting update. I'm sitting down here with Alex Woolheater, who's been the chairman of our building committee, and they are bringing forward a recommendation that they believe they have found the future home for the gathering place, and I wanted him to be able to tell us a little bit more about it.
Thank you, Stephen. The property that we are bringing for the church consideration is located at 10800 Bill Tucker Road, and that is in Wimauma. It is located 2.6 miles from Creekside, so that would be about a 7-minute drive time. And this property is listed for an asking price of $674,900, and it is 9.88 acres. Some of the other considerations that we looked at in selecting this property, first of all, it falls within the designated boundaries. So we looked at, as a church, like how far away from our current location we wanted to be, and this property kind of meets that those boundaries. It also exceeds 5 acres, which is important to us because we want to make sure we have room to not only build our initial building, but also have room to grow, and this would allow us to do that. Plus, it also is within the 50% of what we've saved already of our building fund. So we could go in and make this offer and be basically free and clear with the money we've already saved up for the land portion of this. So that's a key consideration. It is also experiencing rapid growth. If you look in this area, and I encourage all of you to look on Google Earth, you'll see that there are massive amounts of developments around this property, and that gives us a good basis for growth, not only just with our current church, but also with families that are looking for a new church that they might be interested in attending. Another thing about this site is that the utilities are already in place. So we have the septic, the water, electricity, but in addition, we have the ability to tie into the sewer system of the close by developments.
So, and that would be a huge advantage because typically if we were to just buy a piece of property, we'd be having to look at preparing that property, trying to get electric to it, power, that's the same thing, sewer, all water, all of those things. But you're saying since that is already in the area as well as currently on the property, it's going to make that timeline a whole lot faster and a lot cheaper.
Exactly. And in fact, some of the properties we looked at that were much further out didn't have, like, for example, water or electricity, and it was going to be nearly impossible to be able to bring that in. So, right away we knew that those locations were not going to fit the criteria. Now, at this price, even the asking price, we're at $68,000 per acre, and that is significantly lower than some of the other properties we looked at. For example, we looked at 16 other locations, and the average price per acre was $282,000. I'm going to get into a little bit why we think this is so low, but right then, assuming everything else is accurate here, this is a amazing deal just based on that price. Now, the lot itself is dimension-wise is 330 feet on the front. That's the frontage on the road of Bill Tucker, and it goes all the way back about 1,300 feet. So it is very much of a rectangular plot. Now, this would provide us with ample room for a worship center, a greeting area, classrooms, and parking, which are all critical for us to have a church there. What it doesn't allow would be for someone if they wanted to build several multi-family homes on that property. So that's another reason why we feel this property is being offered at a lower price per acre, is that it's not going to fit for someone to develop it for multi-homes. Now, the building committee members have already walked the property, and we've done aerial footage with drones, and that's been really helpful to really look at what the property looks like. Now, it hasn't been lived on for many years, so it's actually pretty well grown over at this point. So there'd be a lot of clearing that would need to be done, but as a whole, our group is unanimous in taking that this should be a property that we would like the board to consider for being able to put an initial offer on. One of the things relative to the timeline of this, so I can kind of set the frame, is that this is currently zoned as a mobile home. lot. Now that allows church building on that, but it's contingent, and it has to go in front of the building committee, or not the building committee, sorry, the zoning committee for the county to do a conditional approval on. That would be one of the contingencies that we would put on the offer for the property, is that it would be rezoned for that purpose. Another one would be just to make sure that the buildable acreage, as I mentioned, it's 9.88. We want to have at least a minimum of 5 as part of that, because that's something you can't see right off the bat because there hasn't been a survey done on the property to date. If we do the property, just so we are clear here too, it would cost somewhere around $3,000 to $5,000, and that would be something that, although we wouldn't get that money back, that would tell us exactly what we have in front of us, and if it did not meet that criteria that I mentioned, we could pull out of that deal if we decided to. But it gives us flexibility. We get the price locked in, once we come to that deal, but we also, the things that would give us that we would say, hey, yeah, this is not something we want to continue, we could still walk away from.
And the $3,000 to $5,000 would be for the purpose of the survey, try to see it. And then when you say buildable acreage,
right.
I feel like I'm relatively new to this. So that would be ground that's not considered wetland. Would lowland also be included in that, or would lowland?
Lowland would be something where it would not, well, that can be built up. So I guess that could be something, and we've already looked at that too. If we needed to put additional soil in, we have some estimates in terms of the cost to add that. So we could work with even the lowland. In fact, depending on where that would be, we would probably use that for the parking area, just as an example. The highland area would be the one where we'd be looking predominantly for the worship center and the building structures.
So the biggest thing is just making sure that the majority of the property is not zoned wetland, and
right.
we can't touch it.
Right.
That's what we need to
yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, because there are all kinds of restrictions relative to wetlands and what you can and can't do, and that makes it a much more difficult build. Once we have permission and we've gotten the rezoning and we've identified at least the buildable area, the next step would be to start the building process of whatever structure we're looking to build. That we're estimating to take about 12 months. So in total, if we look at the zoning, the 9 to 12 months, and then the build out to be another 12 months, we're probably around 24 months to be fully in a new property.
So taking this approach, we would be looking at about a 2-year timeline before we could move out of Creekside. I know there's been some concern, hey, is Creekside the right decision? And I know that you guys have been weighing, do we stay at Creekside? Do we do something else? Obviously, this is going to take a little bit longer. Do we do something in the interim? And so can you tell me about any of the conversation or any of the thoughts as far as what might happen in the interim or directions for the next 2 years?
Right. Yeah, so that's another topic we've been handling as a building committee, and certainly been praying a lot about is like, what do we want to do, assuming it does take the 24 months. And we've looked at, for example, Morgan High School is one. That's a new high school that's being built in Waimama. They have an auditorium that seats around 900. So this would allow us to meet as a single congregation in one service, which personally I feel is a big advantage. I miss things. I go to the early service traditionally, and I know I get your best jokes in the early service, but I do 100%. Miss seeing the rest of the congregation in the second service. So for me, I would love to see all of us come together. I know that would facilitate more lunches and things that we could do that we don't have that real ability to do easily today at Creekside. But I also recognize that the cons are it would be more expensive to move to that high school comparatively to what we're paying right now at Creekside. So we are looking through this very closely. We have not come up with a recommendation for the elder board yet, but it's something that we are praying and certainly considering of what should be that next move, assuming that it's going to take 24 months or so for us to have an actual building of our own.
Okay.
Church family, there you have it. Those are the details that we know about this, what could be our possible home. We look forward to sharing some more this Sunday, as well as having baptisms, having one service at 10 a.m., joining you for a church-wide lunch, and then hearing your questions. We would love to hear what kind of questions you have. We know that our building committees wrestle with a lot, but we'd love to hear your thoughts. And then just so that everyone can be on the same page, what we're looking for is that you would join us in prayer And assuming that God continues to move in this direction, on April 28th, we will have a family meeting where we will ask for a church-wide vote. Those who are covenant members to cast a vote. Do they believe that this is where God has us? So we thank you. We're praying for you. We're excited for Sunday. We hope to see you there.